Welcome to the new IT. Are we saying who we are again now, or we don't need to say that no more?
I don't think we need to.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just we jump right into it. Welcome to the new IT, where we get into the digs and the dirt of being in IT, hiring and connecting with and doing all that stuff. Welcome to the show. What are we talking about today, Brad?
Happy IT.
Happy IT. Gosh, what does that mean? Who in the world is happy in IT? What are we talking about today?
Well, I mean, more than just happy IT, but what we're trying to get is what does your IT team really want? What are they looking for
in a job? That's what, in a career,
exactly.
In a culture, in the company. All of that stuff matters.
It does. It really does.
And today we're going to talk about that.
So, yeah, I mean, the three things that I see from my standpoint of what candidates really want or what they're looking for in their positions is transparency.
Especially
from
the
leadership.
The company is letting them know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Not just putting them in a dark corner and telling them to do stuff.
Just go away here, go do your thing.
Do your thing. Actual transparency, how the company's doing, what they're expected from them, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So that's number one. Number two is opportunities to advance their career, whether that be anyway.
To move forward, to do jump positions, all of that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. And then thirdly, it's the flexibility in work schedules. Obviously, we know what coronavirus has done. We've seen how, more companies are going remote, but more than remote, they just want flexibility.
Flexibility. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's get down and dirty. I think this will be an interesting topic. You folks out there listening, hopefully you'll get some interesting tidbits of, if you don't have this in your company, maybe you haven't thought about it, or maybe why don't I have this? And if you're an employer, these are three very, very important things if you want good talent, right?
Exactly. I mean, these are things that you should be doing, just no matter not IT, but company-wide.
In your company, yeah. I mean, all three of those things will fit for everybody in marketing and sales and operations. I mean, if you're transparent in your company, and if there's a place for people to move up and move and do positions, or there's, flexibility, that's a new and interesting one that we're going to have to talk about. I'm curious to see how your take on it and my take on it. So let's just jump right in.
Absolutely.
I want to ask first.
Okay.
So we talk about those three things, but money is a big deal. So I'm curious, what do you think? How big is money a thing for happiness in the IT industry? Is that a big? I mean, we've got to pay the bills and everything, but is that a big determiner? If I've got, if I don't have these things, but it's a lot more money, would I choose that? How do you feel about money as opposed, because we've got these three things, and I'm just curious about money. What do you think?
No,
Brad?
I mean, it really depends. I mean, like, depending on where we're coming from, personally, like, it really just depends on the individual. There are some people out there who are in really high demand, such as certain software engineers or things like that they have
pay them lots of money.
They have a niche. They know exactly their worth, and they're right in the wave, so to speak. So they are going to be more focused on that money, but that's not everybody, and for the most part, that isn't everybody. So we do see that these three core values matter to the candidates. I mean, that's they want to grow their career, and especially if they're starting out early, they want to be able to know and see that career path. People don't want just money. They want to have value. They want to bring value. They want to contribute. That's really what it's about.
Well, hasn't always the IT world kind of been looked at as this analytical, thought-minded, doesn't care about culture, doesn't care about how people interact? Do you think that's changing? Is that a part of the new IT?
Oh, absolutely. It's totally changing. I mean, like I said, gone are the days where, you banish your IT staff. No, they're in the mix of things. They're in client meetings. They're pitching, your services to be able to help clients and to showcase what they can do. So absolutely, it's totally changed.
Yeah, I agree. The time of them being in that corner over there, it's almost like morphing into this project management, technology project management connected to every piece of your company.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, technology, you do not move forward without technology now, and it has to be integrated, and you have to have cohesion and connection. So that's the future.
No, it really is. I mean, transparency is key. So that's where I wanted to ask you, as an IT business owner, I mean, what do you do for transparency? I mean, how are you transparent with your employees?
I have, since my early days, I got lucky enough to work in companies that were very transparent and very open and very excited. And that happens with startups. With startups, it gets, when things grow and it becomes more corporate, then things get quieter, it seems like, and more, not secret, but it just doesn't seem as, hey, everybody's talking and excited about the company. We all feel a part of it. Personally, I like to keep my company kind of that lean, fun, almost startup feel. For the last, I've had my IT services stuff for over 14 years, and I'd say we still feel like this small, fun, engaging. At least that's what I think. Right. I don't know if my employees feel that way, but that's how I feel about it, and I want to keep it that way. And one of those is, hey, what's going on? I have a meeting every month where we all get together, meeting of the company. How's it doing? How are we feeling about things? I get input from everybody. My company's small enough that I have the ability to do that. I think it's very important. I love my people involved. Everybody in every department and everything, I want them involved. And if I have to keep secrets or something, I just don't do it. That doesn't work for me. So in my world, it's all about transparency. This is what we're doing. This is how many clients we have. I even talk about revenue and stuff. And I'm a complete open book.
You know, that's awesome. And I will have to piggyback on that. I am an open book as well with my company. I want people to know, I want them to understand, but I also want to help them and help them grow. So if I can help them be transparent, then I'm going to.
I can't think of a space where it's a good idea to hide things from your employees.
Well, yeah, I mean, nothing good comes from hiding things. I mean, from any
I
aspect
can't think
life.
of, unless it's some kind of secret formula or something, but for the most part, being open and transparent, I would never work at a company that was closed off and didn't have enough respect for the employees to let us know what was going on. There's a reason why this one is so important to the IT professional, I think.
No, and I agree. I mean, I think you're going to get more work and more out of your employees, and they're going to be willing to do more for you when you are that transparent, because they know, they understand, they're in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
By being transparent, you're basically saying, I get it, I understand, I'm right here fighting along the fight with you. Let's go.
Is that why you think it's so important?
I personally do. Yeah.
Transparency is so important, so there's a cultural connection.
Cultural, you have buy-in, they see you working hard, they're going to do just the same thing just like you.
Yeah. I agree. It's an important piece as a company and as somebody looking for a job. I think when you're hiring or when you're interviewing, I would be really big on asking that question. So how is transparency? How do you feel about employees having say or connection with what's going on? If I was hiring, that would be a question that I would like answered by the company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having said that, I mean, some of the things that we do is we kind of get a feel for what exactly these candidates are looking for by asking them, where do they want to work? Mm-hmm. That's our gauge to say, oh, well, I want to work for Apple. Well, okay, you're looking for more of that corporate job. You're just looking for that status quo. You just want to say you work there. Mm. But the people that are sitting there saying, you know what, I'm okay with a smaller company. I'm okay with a startup. I get it. I want to be able to show that I can contribute. Those are the gold mine, because those are the candidates that are saying, I'm in it for the long haul. If I see the vision and I can contribute, I'm going to contribute everything I have. And they're going to grow from that, and they're going to grow their careers. So whether or not they stay with that company or not, they're going to be able to learn and grow and do more in that company and in that role than anywhere else.
With that said, I'm curious, because the second one is, advancement. And in IT, it's been my experience that the best way to an advance in IT is to go to another company. That's in the past. That's always been kind of the big. You don't really advance, and so I'm curious. How do you feel? Can you structure as a company that hires IT? Can you structure where the IT person can see there's advancement, and what does that look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, and quite honestly, in my opinion, as an organization, you have to keep advancement at the forefront, and especially for your technology teams, because if you're not, you're going to be losing them.
You are.
It's just that simple.
Because that in the past has been the thing. You jump to the next place to move up.
Exactly. So you need to keep your employees
And how much does that
engaged.
cost you as a company to lose that person that's been with you for the last 4 or 5 years that knows everything about you? I mean, that costs a lot. I can't imagine.
Can you really put a dollar amount on that, though?
I don't think you can.
Honestly, I don't think you can. So having said that, I mean, like I said, I mean, yes, companies may get sticker shock for how much it's going to cost to be able to implement new training and to be able to help your employees, but it's going to pay for itself when your employees do decide to stay with you and grow their career and grow further and more and stay with you for 15, 20 years.
It's just about being decent and
is.
moving them up. I just sometimes in the history of being in the corporate world, I've seen so much where they try to crunch, to keep dollars by not promoting that much or not giving raises that much. And you lose. They have turnover, and you lose people. And in technology, that's hard. Turnover is hard especially depending on how strong your technology is and focused your technology is.
Well, not only that, you're already coming at a disadvantage because there are more projects and more positions out there than there are IT workers.
Yeah,
that's just a fact. So if you're going to handicap yourself even more, what is that really costing you? What is your cost of vacancy? How much is that really costing you down to the dollars and cents, which is what matters?
So what does that look like? How do you? I'm just curious. Being in IT as long as I have, there's a help desk job, there's an admin job, and maybe there's some specific like database or tech account manager. I mean, where do you show them? Because management, a lot of guys don't want to do management, but they want advancement.
Yeah, I mean, that's where taking on like a lead role would work. Being able to go from a tech to a lead and take on a little bit more responsibility. Then from there, maybe you can go on to more of like a director role or a senior position outside of a lead, and then just work your way up. And it's totally up to you where you want to decide to stop, but that's kind of that career path that you can go down.
And if you have that path as a business owner, then even if, you say, then you've got a director position. Well, what do you go from there? There's only one CEO, and CEOs stay CIOs stay for however long. Well, how much longer will you have that person if you give them a path to work on?
Exactly. And who's to say the business doesn't grow? So you need a VP or an SVP and then a CIO. True. So I mean there are lots of places to go from there.
Having that mindset of putting in place opportunities for growth is a big keeper for your employees. Your tech.
Absolutely. And every company should be thinking about how they plan on growing and how they plan on growing their staff.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, how do you get somebody through the process, and how do you get them up the ladder?
So in my industry or in my space, I like to hire new folks. Okay. It's kind of designed to move them down the ladder, and we're an IT service, so we become IT departments all over, and we have clients where we become, and we have techs, and we have admins, and we have director level IT, and I start. I hire usually there at the tech level and move them up as we get clients and stuff. They go into new positions. They know that. I tell them up front, hey, and I like getting new, fresh tech people just out of college or school that haven't been kind of ruined by the IT world. I mean, it's IT is a funky place where you'll get bad habits.
So do you think that's an advantage to you? Just kind of getting somebody and be able to mold them how you want?
For me, it works. It really works. I love it. I keep employees. And then, of course, I also train them and they move on to go to bigger and better things. And I feel really good about that. I feel good that I've like basically let them fly away from the nest. I mean, because we're a specific IT services, but there are a lot of jobs out there that my guys. I had one guy. He goes, "Bobby, I worked at a convenience store. That was my first job. Why on earth did you hire me?" And I'm like, you know what? You did. You were technical. You were a geek, and you answered some technical questions. I can teach you the tech.
Yeah, so
I can't teach you how to be a decent human being.
So it's more of those soft skills. You saw that he was a grinder. You saw that they wanted to work, and you saw that determination in him. So you can teach you can't teach the soft skills, but you can teach the tech side, is what you're saying.
Always, yes. If somebody's decently smart and they're in the tech world, I can teach them anything tech-wise.
But does that work for everything? I mean, what if there are like certain softwares or technologies that are kind of niche? I mean, you can't really train or can you cross-train?
Well, you're right. I mean, and I think a lot of the niche stuff, it comes down to does a person like doing that? Or they're just good at it. There's a fine line there. When I'm talking a broad statement, I can teach them technology, but when you're honing into some really, that's a whole different animal. And we all know that is kind of how tech is. It gets down to kind of pigeonholed. You get
siloed.
Yeah, into what you're doing. But if you're open and you're interested, I can teach you anything.
That's good.
No matter what. If you've got a knack for programming, then you can be taught that. If you've got a knack for database, you can be taught that.
Well, and there's something to be said about like teaching yourself and learning and just
finding where your niche is for yourself that you enjoy.
I know we already talked about this in terms of degrees, but I mean, you can't. Hustle is hustle. It doesn't matter whether or not somebody goes to a 4-year college to get a degree, but if you can see the hustle in somebody, that's really what matters most.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I see that. I watch that. When I hire people, I go through quite a process of interviews and even take them to lunch, do all kinds. And this is even for small positions, not just high-end positions, just because I want to make sure the culture fits and that they're a go-getter.
Yeah, it's a good fit.
That they're ready to do what it takes to get on it. And a lot of times I'll throw techs into the fire and watch how they
see how they react,
how they perform, and like, hey, go figure it out. I know that sounds crazy, but some of my best learning lessons in tech were just trying to figure out stuff without somebody else helping me.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just trial by fire, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes you do need that.
Yeah, I think so too. And if that excites you and engages you, then you should be in IT.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't, you shouldn't, because you're gonna be thrown into those positions. With that said, let's talk about the flexibility thing. That is interesting. Flexibility in the work schedule. What does that even mean? Does that mean work from home? Is that all it means now? Flexibility with your work schedule means work from home, or does it mean work at night? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I still think corporate America is still trying to figure it out. We're still conditioned that we have to be the 9 to 5. Here you go. This is what we do.
COVID's shaking that up a little bit. It's shook it up a little.
I think it was always there, and I think it started to change, but I think COVID really kind of brought it to the forefront to say, you don't have a choice. You have to go remote now, or if not, then you jeopardize losing not only staff, but just laying people off.
I remember years ago, admins going, man, I could do all this from home, dude. I don't not need to be in the office to make sure accounts are okay and this and putting in router code and all that. I don't need to be in the office.
No, and you really don't. And that's the joy of what corporate America is still learning is how do we adapt to people's schedule. I think as workers have evolved, so has their opportunity to be able to work. They're not looking for just the 9 to 5 anymore. They want flexibility. If they can work 3 or 4 hours in the morning, take a break, maybe take a 2 or 3 hour lunch, and then come back and work for 4 or 5 or 6 more hours, That's really what they're looking for. They're looking for that flexibility to say, you know what, this is okay. I have other things that I enjoy, and I do have a life outside of work. And unfortunately, I do have some things that come up during business hours that I need to get taken care of. Being able to be flexible to do that is really what it's about.
Yeah, my philosophy has always been, hey, I don't care how long it takes or what you do, as long as your job is taken care of.
As long as the work gets done.
And there's companies that they do everything to make sure you're not on Facebook, and they make sure, every second. They even have videos sometimes of people making sure you're doing work, because the CEO thinks that if you're not doing work, I'm losing money. And I think the opposite. I think when you're hounding somebody like that, you're losing their not just creativity, but their ability to work better and do more. I think that's just my philosophy. And there are studies out there that will collaborate that.
Oh, absolutely.
I just know when I tell my guys, just take care of it, go out. You're free to do whatever you need to do as long as the client is taken care of and they're really, really happy. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Yeah, I mean,
they love that. They love having that freedom. They love their job. And they get it done. And if they don't, I'll know.
What kind of morale are you setting if you're going to be sitting there hounding somebody if they can't even get on the internet?
I've read articles and stuff, and that just dump. I don't know how a company can stay in business and do that. I would never work there.
Never. Well, and that's where I think corporate America is starting to evolve. I think they understand that, and because the power of technology, we have platforms to where we can call companies out and say, hey, you know what? This maybe ain't the place that you want to work because they're so strict.
Yeah.
So in that same thought process, technology and social media has done good for the workforce, but I still think we're evolving. We're still trying to figure out how does it work? How does it tie into everything?
I agree. I know that Google used to have, I always thought it was really cool because they had the 20% rule thing where 20% of you were supposed to work on whatever you wanted to work on.
I thought they still have that.
They do. I think they probably do. I don't know why they wouldn't, because it seemed like pure and I know Gmail came out of that. All kinds of cool stuff came out of that whole deal. I just think it's interesting when you want to curb the creativity of your employees. They don't want to be there. They'll do their job half-ass and then leave.
Exactly.
Give them a reason to have fun and create and be interested and engaged.
And don't get me wrong, I understand that sometimes I may be called out here, but I understand that maybe tech and programming can be a little bit mundane. But still, people still need that creativity. They need to be able to look at it different ways. So, yeah. Oh,
I know. Back in the day, we used to do all kinds of crazy stuff to stay engaged. Many years ago, when I did, we all did our support phone lines. I worked for, I don't remember, Packard Bell back in the I don't think Packard Bell even exists anymore. But I did support for Packard Bell. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. But we did all kinds of stuff to engage ourselves. I mean, I think I told you about like downloading movies and hacking. We would hack the network all the time and crack each other's passwords. I remember a buddy, a cubicle next to me going, hey, dude, look at this. And there's my login on his screen, my login password. I'm like, dude, I've never put that out of my mouth ever in my life. To see it there was freaky. So
that's funny.
We and you know what? It was cool, and it was not horrible to work there because of that. Even Anyway, I'm on my soapbox there, but I just think that culture, setting a culture of being interested and engaged in your job, I think is important.
Oh, it's so important, and you have to have that, and you have to have that camaraderie with your team, and not only your team, but just your company in general, and you have to have buy-in. I know I kind of already hit upon this, but companies nowadays are needing to understand that it's you're creating more than just a work for people. You're creating a culture. You're creating things for people to want to brag to their friends about, saying, dude, look how cool this is. Look at what I did over here.
Yeah.
Create that creativity and foster that and engage that. Don't say, no, you can't do this.
Yeah. The days of those kind of companies, it's just not conducive to employment.
No, it's really not. I mean, I know we kind
in
of are,
IT or anything.
I'm gonna restate something, but I believe wasn't Packard Bell weren't they bought out by HP? I thought they were.
Were they?
I thought so, but I can't remember.
It was so interesting. The original Packard Bell was in the 50s or whatever, and then some guy bought the name to create, and then he did computers. They were super low-end they were really low-end computers. And then, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they do still sell them overseas, just not in the U.S.
Okay.
It's been a long time. It's been in the this was in the 90s.
Yeah.
This is a long time ago.
Well, I remember Packard Bell, and actually I had a friend who actually had one, and I remember playing Oregon Trail on it with him. But at that same point, I was like, I swear they were bought up by HP, but I don't know. I mean, I
know
digress.
Compaq was bought up by HP.
I remember Compaq.
Oh man, that was a crazy deal.
That was
because Compaq had the ProLiant servers, and they were the bomb, and then HP, and that was are they going to stay same quality and all that?
Right.
Now we've got HP ProLiant servers that are killing it. But anyway.
So I mean, I know I already got my answer to this, but it sounds like you foster flexible schedules, and as long as the work gets done, you really don't care what your employees are doing.
I really, as long as it's legal and ethical, I don't, and I am, again, very transparent. If because of the nature of my business, if a client has a problem with one of my techs or something, ooh, there we go. If a client has a problem with one of my techs or something, I tell them, I explain, hey, you know what? I've been told this. They're thinking this. What's going on? If we have an unhappy client, then I have a problem with you, and how can we fix it? So I'm very transparent and open. But hey, you take a 2-hour lunch, I don't care, as long as that client is happy and loves what you're doing for them, and will drop anything to take care of that client if it's 6 in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, which I have techs that will do that. Just because they care that much, and they know it's a flexible
schedule,
whatever it takes to take care of them. I love doing business that way, and my techs like it.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I don't think from getting to know you and getting to know more about you, I don't think you've lost a client ever since you started your company 14 years ago.
14 years ago, yes.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you're obviously doing
We
something
lost
right.
one for 5 months, and they came back begging, saying, we're sorry.
That's even better.
They even told me, they said, Bobby, if we hadn't had your company before, we probably wouldn't have known how sucky the other one was and would have just dealt with it.
Wow. That is quite a good praise.
I was, and when it happened, we were like, oh, they're going to regret, how you do because you're trying to feel better about yourself. Like, oh, they're going to regret this. Nobody's going to take care of them as good as you. My techs were all, they don't have no clue how good we were to them. Just trying to feel better. And then 5 months later, they call back.
Sure
I'm like,
enough.
oh, cool. It wasn't just blowing smoke.
They understood.
Legit.
They got it.
And it comes to caring about the client and actually wanting to do things for them instead of just getting a paycheck.
It's doing what's in the best interest of the client.
It is. And my techs know that. That's the culture we create. And those are the people I hire that have that kind of philosophy.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, cool stuff. Wow, this is good. What do you think?
I'm good. I think I don't have any more questions on this one. I think I'm good.
I think we're good. This is a cool, interesting topic. If you're out there looking for a job, these 3 things are really important.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, if the company you're looking for isn't open about all of this stuff, then I would look somewhere else personally.
Yeah. And on that note, I would encourage you to get in contact with us. I mean, we'd love to help you.
Absolutely. Yeah, TechBridge will hook you up. All right. Well, thanks for listening to The New IT. We'll see you next time.